Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Lawler here. As always, we've got some fun stuff to talk about today and a little bit of insight on Team Carl. If you guys aren't familiar, this past weekend, obviously, we talked in yesterday's video about South America, top 16, and congrats to the Corinthians and Raise Bull and the boys on making it into the World Championship in the play-ins. But at the same time, North America started with 434 teams and worked their way down to 16 over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. What's normally different is when I do these, I kind of recap everyone. Unfortunately, slightly fortunately, I'm coaching a team, so I can't really see everything. So some of these results are going to be actually a surprise to me as well. But I'm going to talk more so about our run through it and provide some gameplay footage while we do so. So with that said, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, notifications. But we're going to leave this up. If you guys want, I can pull the bracket as well and kind of put that to the side. But most people, I think, want to see the footage. So with that in mind, kind of talking through the process, top 16 is something that is kind of going through the open qualifier bracket is very stressful. You play a lot of teams that don't have like a style or a play style that you have expectations of. You don't really have this like preconceived notion of like, this is how you're supposed to play, which is why having structure, making sure you play how you're supposed to, is very, very important. If you play the way you're supposed to, you should win those series. But every once in a while, you run into a team that has no remorse, no consequence, and they just full send, and they can cause some hiccups. Luckily for us, that didn't happen. We played a very clean first day and made it into top, I think it's 192. And then in the second day, same thing, 2-0, we make it into top 32. Again, those matches are expected for us to win. We shouldn't really have any issues. We should be doing what we want to do and be assertive and kind of play our play style. But when you get into top 32, it's a little bit different. That's when kind of the reality check or the pressures come in of these teams can beat us. These teams are fully capable of having a day. These teams have familiarity with us, and that goes both ways. We know how they play. They maybe know how we play. But on the day, can we do what we're supposed to do? And that's easier said than done when the pressures are on and players maybe revert to old tendencies, or, you know, you've never played in a competitive environment before as a team, especially for us. You know, this is Carl, if you guys don't know, is the team I coach for. It's Calm, Talk, and 5-Up. If you haven't seen the previous videos, this is our first time that we have as a trio competed together in an actual competition. This is also the first time that Calm has played in the RLCS with actual things on the line since Worlds of last year. To say people were nervous, to say people were a little in their own head at times would be an understatement. I think we can all admit, and I don't think the guys have any issues sharing that, is this is the first time that we've played as a competitive team. It's the first time we get to see us in real competition. No matter how good or bad scrims are going, this stuff counts. There is no takebacks. There is no excuses. You have to perform. And while people go, well, Calm has played in, you know, in LCQs, and or not LCQs, he's played in opens and stuff at the beginning of the year. The difference is in an open, you have 3 chances. Hey, I didn't perform in open 1, great. Don't worry, I can make it up in open 2 and open 3. So that pressure isn't as strenuous. You also get buys into top 32. You don't have to go through the open bracket and stuff. And while we expect to win those matches convincingly, there is opportunity for upset. For him, knowing that if we lose, our season is over, and that applies to everybody, it does provide a little bit of pressure. You're going to see that across the board from everybody who played. It is a little bit nervy. It is a little bit sloppier. It is a little bit more one-dimensional. So that comes across the board, whether you're the favorites like Complexity or Shopify or the boys or us or whoever. Everybody, I think, is going to play a little bit nervous initially, just because that is the nature of what we're playing in. That being said, the teams that are supposed to perform towards the top did. Complexity went 3-0. They dropped 2 individual games out of their 9 that they played. Top seed with a pretty good Bukol score. Behind them was the boys. We are the team that conceded to them in the 2-0 round. So we went 2-0 our first round. We won pretty convincingly. That's what you guys are watching right now. And our second one, we ended up playing, I think it was SOS. We had like a 10-minute overtime at one point and actually ended up losing that to a shot that came off the right wall. But the fact that we immediately bounced back, we get another win. I think it was an OT. It was a 2-1 OT. And then we won again in game 3 where we put up like 6 goals or something ridiculous. I don't know what it is, but when we're on like match point, we just pop off. It's just the way it goes, I guess. We played the boys. It is Shogun's favorite, where it is 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. We literally got perfect swept. We didn't score a single goal. But the fact that we kept it to 1 goal each, I can tell you the boys was probably playing a little bit nervous as well. I think both teams knew what was on the line because, again, you're fighting for a top 4 seed. That's the most important thing. Top 2 gives you what is objectively an easier pathway based upon the teams that you're competing against. But at the end of the day, if you beat the team that is the higher seed in front of you, you do get their seed. Normally, when you talk about seeding things, it's a little bit detrimental because there is a chance you run into like a complexity in top 6 versus a top 4. And for the other team that gets to play against the team that's like maybe ranked 10th overall, you want to avoid that. But in this tournament, it doesn't matter. It is, you have to win. No ifs, ands, or buts. So for us to run into the boys, we fully expected to win that one. We did not play how we were supposed to. I think a lot of it came down to nerves and just feeling like we had to score. That unfortunately carried over into our 4th series of the day up against Haybro, which is Creams, Hockey, and I think Gyro now, if I remember correctly. We did not score not only for 15 minutes of gameplay against the boys, but then we had a very, very long break. I'm talking like 30, 40 minutes. And then we didn't score again in that game. So 20 minutes of gameplay, no goal. You start to, for some people, that starts to get into your head. Luckily, we do bounce back and we win the next 3 and we close it out, which then puts us at 3-1. That gives us the number 3 seed overall due to our Buko score as well as our initial seed. And I'll talk about those in a little bit. But yeah, I think, again, there's a lot of stuff. We talked about it a little bit on the timeline. Things for us to clean up, things for us to do better. You know, we're well aware of what we didn't do and what we need to do. But it is just a matter of putting it into play. We have to make sure that we are able to capitalize on the situation that we are in. Because we are a top 4 seed, we do have a bit of an advantage. So while this gameplay is going to kind of show you guys how things played out, primarily, like I said, Complexity and the boys going 3-0. They secure their top 2 seeds in their group. For us, 3-1. We lost to the boys again. They perfect swept us 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. At the end of the day, we didn't lose because we got the goal score. We lost because we couldn't score. That's on us. Full credit to the boys in playing the way that they did. But I can tell you both teams, even from our perspective, the boys definitely were not playing to their capability that we know that they have. They still have a lot more left in the tank. Outside of that, a lot of upsets. Rattopia as a team, I think, went through the gauntlet, which is pretty crazy. Hey Bro as well, between them and SOS, teams we both played, having to face each other. Ironically, these 3 teams are the ones that we played. We started with Llama Champions, then we went to SOS, and then we ended with Hey Bro. So, again, a lot of the teams that are in that area of fully capable of making top 16. So, by no means did we have an easy round, but these guys went through it, which is pretty crazy. So, as expected, I would say most of the teams that made it through, I think, are the ones that are probably favorited. The fact that Affinity was putting up a good fight against Complexity to start, I think, was a really good sign. But I know a lot of people are rooting for Psycho Rangers and Rattopia. The thing that we care about, though, is the other side, because that's who we end up playing. And in Group E, things expected as well. Shopify doing Shopify things, going 3-0. Again, they are the favorite from their group as the number 2 overall seed. MPL, which is Knight, Panda, and Lion Blaze, showing that the old man still has it in Lion Blaze. I say old man, but I am significantly older than him, so no discredit there. 100x35 is the old What's Up team. That is Expert, Daunt, and Devo. I'm pretty sure Daunt now goes by Matt or Matter. Papega Shake, Crispy, Zenil, and Parth, I think, on their team. A lot of people said Parth was looking pretty good. Their initial match, they lost against Norms, who is actually who we play in the first round. I'll talk about that at the end. But then they go perfect. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Beating Sup, beating Step Bros, and beating the new Pirates on a boat. Eris is the only original player on that roster. But they do make it through. Norms makes it through. That is Cosmic, Hazo, and Skippy, I think, is their team. I think that's who we play first round. And then Alpha Cap and the boys do close out, and they look actually pretty convincingly doing it. So good to see Garrett, Squishy, and AJ make it through as well. They had some pretty good. Unfortunately, they started strong against Shopify from what we saw, but ended up conceding. But then they made it through. You know, happy for them to take through their wins and able to take down teams like Norms as well, who's our first round match. So your top 2 seeds, Shopify and MPL, they will be on the inverse. So in order for us to make top 6, we will have to go through Norms and then what we assume will be NPL. But we can take a look at that bracket because this is what the main event should look like. Not confirmed yet. They'll probably confirm this on Wednesday. But this is what will be going down on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern on August 1st. You've got Complexity, Little Step Bros, Pepega Shake, Psycho Rangers, NPL Affinity, and then our team, Carl, against Norms. And then on the other side, Shopify Rebellion versus Heybro, BOTB versus Gas, The Boys Pirates, 100x35, and Rattopia. 8 teams make it through. This is a double elimination straight up. If you win 2, you are a guaranteed top 6, and it will place you here. The way I expect it to go, if we, and I'm going to say this confidently, when we win our matches, we will play the inverse high seed. So Rebellion is who we would play in our top 6. Complexity will very likely play the Boys. So expect Complexity and the Boys, Shopify, and Carl. That is what our expectation is. And then whoever wins those will go into the semifinals and 2 series to become the champion. Again, understand that top seed going 2-0 is very, very important. It gives you an extra life as compared to everybody else who has to battle through a daunting lower bracket. It is not easy to do so. Again, having the ability to make a mistake is very, very important. So that is where we are at. That is what the bracket is supposed to look like. If you guys would like, let me know in the comments down below. I can do predictions, but you guys know who I'm going to predict to win. If you would like me to still do it, let me know, and I will try to put it out for you. But that is what we have. That is NA LCQs. Pretty crazy stuff. It's been an experience being on this side of it. You know, obviously I've watched many a series. I've casted many a series for the RLCS, but being part of the team environment this in depth, man, it's just stressful. It is tough, especially when it's those long OTs. Like, I can't say anything. You know, the guys are playing. If I say something, if I speak up, if it's scoreless for X amount of time, I can't call things out. I can't say what's going on. I have to trust the guys, and that feeling of being helpless and not being able to say anything out of respect. You don't want it to be jarring, you know, when you interject. It's a different experience, man. Loving the guys though, loving the experience, loving what we're doing, and very confident going into this week. So week of scrims, making sure that we really solidify how we want to play and do what we got to do, and don't take backsies for the weekend. All or nothing. So that's gonna do it for today's video. Again, if you guys want to see your own prediction sheet, it is CodyVRL on Twitter, at CodyVRL. He does have his prediction hub sheet, and you guys can do your own predictions there. Let me know what you guys got. But that's gonna do it for today's video. As always, like, subscribe, notifications. Appreciate everything that you guys leave down below. See you in the next one. Peace.
But only at your breaking point. I'd rather hide away, no love can disappoint. I find it worse to show myself than live alone. And so the